Good evening and welcome to the November 2nd school committee meeting at the high school here. The meeting is being recorded and can be viewed on Mondays at 7 p.m. on Comcast Channel 8 or Verizon Channel 37. All meeting videos are also posted on the Millis Public Schools website under School Committee, and all videos are also available on YouTube, and all times are approximate. We'll start by taking attendance. I am here. Mr. Conroy?
Here.
Mr. Catalano?
Present.
Ms. Gibbons is not here today. Ms. Roach?
Here.
Our teacher rep, Ms. Coppice? Here. And our student rep is here. Hello. And Mr. Mullaney, our superintendent.
Here.
All right. We're going to start today with some awards that we have to give out. So would you like to take it away, Mr. Mullaney?
The New England School Development Council each year recognizes outstanding students throughout New England for academic achievement and leadership in their respective high schools. And this year I'm proud to be presenting two NASDAQ awards for academic growth and leadership. And I just have some write-ups here from the students' guidance counselors, and I'll read those and present these awards. So the first recipient is Colin Streck, and Colin is an accomplished student and leader at Millis High School and an outstanding choice for the 2022 NASDAQ Award for Academic Growth and Leadership. Colin is a three-sport athlete, leading the cross-country team as captain and participating in both winter and spring track. He's also a member of the drama club. In his limited free time, he enjoys miniature painting and board games. He's been involved in other sports and volunteering opportunity as well. Colin truly loves learning. He often goes outside of the curriculum and explores things more deeply on his own, and then comes back and shares what he found. Colin communicates academic ideas well to both his peers and teachers. Academically, you will not see any grade lower than A on Colin's transcript. He's a member of our National Honor Society and a Spanish immersion student. He's been recognized for several course awards as well as excellence in AP awards. It's really hard to find an award here at the high school that Colin hasn't won. He is passionate about computer science and was also recognized for innovation in information and technology, receiving an award, as well as the Rensselaer Medal Award. So it gives me great pride to present the first NASDAQ academic award for growth and student leadership to Colin Streck.
Congratulations.
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 Stay in or out? Stay in. Colin, I'm going to take pictures of you with the superintendent. I'll have your parents.
I don't want to be in
Yeah.
this year.
Do you want school committee to come in? Good?
No.
No,
Just
no,
the
no.
superintendent's good.
It's fine.
Just the parents, yeah.
Hop in. Let's go. Have to tell me smile. Go with it. Okay, there you go. You hang that right
No, I don't want to be in the background.
And our second NASDAQ Award for Academic Growth and Leadership is proudly presented to Jaden Adams. Jaden is a natural leader and an outstanding student. She's been a straight A student throughout high school and recognized in our school with a number of awards, including the Brandeis University Book Award for Social Action and Civic Engagement, the University of Rochester Frederick Douglass and Susan Susan B. Anthony Award, the Zinn Award for Excellence in AP US History, Award for Academic Excellence in Anatomy and Physiology, and the Award for Excellence in Documentary Filmmaking. Jaden demands the best from herself and in turn lifts up those around her. Jaden seeks out opportunities to give back to her community and do everything in her power to help other students feel safe and supported. She is the president of the Common Ground Club, for which she holds weekly meetings for allies and LGBTQ students and runs a mentorship program for LGBTQ youth, as well as a book club featuring queer authors, and she hosts an end-of-the-year Pride celebration for the entire school. They have great cake at that ceremony. Under Jaden's leadership, along with other fantastic students, the Common Ground Club has grown into a group that is active, empowered, valued, and immersed in our school community. The help that she has given to other students is immeasurable, and the results of everything she does will continue to benefit future generations of Millis students. Jaden is also Vice President of the National Honor Society and a writer and editor for our school newspaper. In her spare time, what little time that must be, she works independently as a writer and director of her own short films, and she writes poetry. She managed to do all of this while also working part-time at Ocean State Job Lot. Jaden does it all with seemingly endless positivity and kindness. I am proud to present this NESDEC Award for Academic Growth and Leadership to Jaden Adams.
Congratulations.
Colin, and then we're finished.
No one with just.
Oh, just Mom, I'm losing track.
Yep.
Now we're following.
All right.
All right, thank you very much.
Good job.
Good job. Congratulations. Of course. Okay, we're gonna move along to the teacher at Ms. Copese. Do you want to come up and give your report? And then
Open
Ben, we'll
session.
have you come up and give your report after.
Robin, is anyone here for open session?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't-
Jody, is anyone here for open session? I forgot to ask for that.
Nope.
Okay.
I know big bad.
So many people.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Welcome.
So, the Clyde Brown will be celebrating Silly Sock Day on May 4th, which is Thursday, to celebrate their hard work with their earning their bear paws with their PBIS. So they can wear matching socks, unmatching socks, who knows what's going to happen. Be exciting. The fifth graders have learned about beekeeping to enhance their read-aloud book, Be Fearless by Michaela Ulmer. So there will be some pictures of them, honeycombs, and what have you. So that's kind of exciting. For the middle school, on Friday, November 12th, author Sharon Draper will be having a virtual visit with the middle school and high school classes. It is a presentation through an unlikely story, and Ms. Draper will preview her newly released book, Out of My Heart, and students and staff will have the opportunity to purchase the book as well. Additionally, for the middle school, we have the late bus starting on 11:10, which is very exciting. All middle school students will be able to take the late bus. The sixth grade has recently conducted a microscope lab, and they've been able to capture some lovely images of things such as butterfly wings. They were actually pretty cool looking. Grade 7 is having some yoga time. Their next session, their last session was, actually it's today, November 2nd, so I guess I'll track my days of the week already. And the grade 8 students are working on their Thanksgiving boxes. They are all decorated and they are ready to be filled with a plethora of goods to help those who are less fortunate. The high school, the term ends on Friday, so we're 10 weeks into our year, which basically means we're, 25% done. We announced some Adams Scholars this week, which were Colin Streck and Emmett Clark, so that was exciting. Good week for Colin. The New England Emmys were filmed using the green screen in our TV production room as Danielle did the presentation for the Gold and Silver Circle Awards. Liam Walsh and, I forgot the other student's name, I'm going to apologize, were functioning as the PA assistants. And this is the 10th year that Millis students have been PA assistants for the New England Emmy Awards, so that's kind of exciting.
Cool.
The Drama Club production is going up on November 19th and 20th. It's a fun romp of whodunit. Miss Bartley will be directing it, and of course Colin is in it. All of our varsity teams have qualified for postseason play, which is very exciting. The Millis music parents are looking for volunteers. If anybody wants to sign up and join in to help out with that, you can reach out to Ms. Norton or Mr. Femino for more details. The high school creative writing classes and speech classes worked with the middle school to present scary stories for Halloween last week. So that was exciting. And we have an update from the TIES coordinator transition specialist, Becky, if I'm messing up her name, I apologize, was on? Yeah. All right, excellent. The TIS transition program, which serves the Millis students ages 18 to 22, officially began its first school year and is off to a great start. The students have been working hard to begin community-based internships and part-time jobs within the Millis community, as well as doing volunteer work to continue to give back. They had an amazing turnout a few weeks ago at their first open house, which included all of the students attending and showing off their new program and all of our work. The latest highlight is the development of social groups with other programs including Medfield, Holliston, and Hopkinton. So that is the offsite program for folks who aren't aware. I know you guys all are, but maybe the viewing audience. We have a district-wide early release day tomorrow for parent-teacher conferences. And if folks are still looking for a last-minute sign-up, those are all posted on the various schools' newsletters. And it looks like the middle school and the Clyde Brown have an additional early release on Thursday, if I am not mistaken. And the CPAC has a meeting on November 10th at the Millis Public Library at 6:30. You can attend either in person or you can check out the newsletters for the virtual link up information. And I believe that is all I have for. Oh, I have one more. I totally forgot. Chem Club is happy to announce that we are starting our Clyde Brown outreach starting November 12th with a visit from Miss Maruzzi's class. So that is coming back after a year and a half absence due to COVID. So that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, Ben, you can come on up.
Okay, I go first, and my porch going to be a lot of backhoe here.
Sorry.
Big congratulations to all fall sports that made playoffs. That is boys soccer, girls soccer, boys football, girls volleyball, as well as golf. And we also have states for cross country this weekend, and a few of our runners will be going to that. As Ms. Scopese said, there is a regional half day tomorrow, and middle and K through 8 will have a half day on Thursday. The term does end this Friday, November 5th, so that's very, very exciting. Colleges have been visiting during every single lunch, so keep up with your emails. Check them and see which colleges are coming to visit if you're interested. And we have our second flex block tomorrow. So students, if you haven't signed up, please make sure that you're signed up and have somewhere to go tomorrow for flex block. That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.
And I would say Ben is a member of Millis's first Tri-Valley Championship soccer team. So congratulations. We're going to get a banner in the gym.
I know,
It's
that's
exciting.
Didn't want to toot my horn too much.
That just let me.
You're having a great
Thank you
season,
so much, Ben. All right, let us go to our action items to approve the minutes from last meeting, which was the 19th of October.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Conroy.
I make a motion to approve the October 19th school committee meeting minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Consideration to approve the Bell Simmons invoice. Let me find
Madam Chair,
that. Mr. Conroy.
I make a motion to approve the Bell Simmons invoice for the amount of $6,622.35
Second.
for fire suppression hood and electric disconnect box.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. All right, next up we have our time and learning. You guys want to do Rochambeau to see who goes first, or what do you think?
I think we were going to have Mr. Glenn lead us off.
Go ahead, come on up.
Mr. Glenn will be presenting the middle school school improvement plan. Five 5033. There we go.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me. My first school improvement plan as a principal in the district, 2 months in, things have been going really, really well. Before I get into the details of the plan, just want to give a shout out to the teachers who are just, I can imagine, a better staff to be working with. And I'm joined by one of our teachers here who is a teacher leader, aspiring administrator. She's in her administration program and has been a valuable asset in terms of the improvement plan, also serving on our school council. So this is Kelly now in the 6th grade social studies. So credit to her. So I've got a presentation version of this. You've got the full text version in your shared drive. So I pulled the highlights that I feel like are the most high leverage things that I want to feature tonight. You probably wrote this as a school committee, so you probably I'm not going to reread our public schools vision or our mission, but it's there in our plan. I loved, as I came into this district, that we really teased out personalized learning as a goal and as a value in this district, and I see that happening on the daily in our classrooms. And you'll see that featured in one of our goals in particular, personalized learning. So the middle school improvement plan was built off of Superintendent Mulaney's district improvement plan. We pulled 3 of the 4 goals that sort of align nicely. And those are, 1, we're going to be focusing on providing rigorous, challenging learning experiences that promote academic growth for all students. Our social emotional goal is supporting student physical and mental health and wellness. And in terms of cultural proficiency, equity, and inclusion, we're going to be examining and expanding our knowledge protocols and pedagogical practices to ensure a learning environment that fosters equity and inclusion. So I'll go through each of these 3 and sort of pull out the highlight action steps that we're taking. Some of which are underway, some of which are just beginning. So goal number 1, our academic focus area, providing rigorous, challenging learning experiences that promote academic growth for all students. The initiative that we've undertaken so far that is one of the more exciting things I've been a part of as an educator and school leader now is the implementation of our new WIN block into our schedule, WIN standing for What I Need. It was built into the schedule for last year, but the COVID-limited year didn't enable that learning block to be what it was designed to be, and that is a flexible learning time where students may be moved in and out of groups based on what data, qualitative, quantitative, are telling the teacher students need growth and support, or extension in some cases. Because students were cohorted last year, they remained in one WIN block throughout the year. This year, with our ability to move kids around and change classes, we are now in our 2nd cycle of WIN intervention, and it's very exciting. So it's really what it is a daily academic intervention that follows the MTSS procedures to support all students. Students who need extra math support are being moved into math support. Students who are needing extra science. We're also in the 8th grade building a peer tutoring program that's can happen within the WIN period as well, where students are out coaching other students. So it's really exciting. It works in 6-week cycles, dovetailing with mid-trimester, which we've just gone through, and the end of each trimester. So there'll be six-week intervention cycles happening throughout the year. And the goal is that students are getting very personalized attention and in some cases extension if they're really successful. So it's very cool, it's very exciting. The teachers are really on board for it's experimental, we're learning, and we're doing some other things to support. Also strengthening this multi-tier system of supports by initiating a new child study process. We're really targeting students who are exhibiting some academic struggle areas in a sort of more streamlined way, and giving us opportunity to kind of loop back as a team with regularity. And the team leaders were instrumental in developing a new child study process. I believe it was called IST in the past, but it's a variation on that. We've also increased what we had as half-time positions in reading and math tutoring to full-time this year by way of some grants that were discovered by the former principal, Maureen Knowlton. So we've got 2 extra educators, both of whom this year happen to be licensed educators. So we're really able to leverage these folks into supporting students who need a little extra support. And they're running their own WIN blocks, and they're pushing into general ed classrooms, a lot of co-teaching happening. So it's a lot of really great targeted support. We are rolling out a new peer observation and learning walk program at the middle school. The first round of learning walks is going to be focusing on WIN block instruction, how to do solid intervention and extension. It's going to be, teachers are going to be going through several WIN classes at a time, in a row, gathering data. Ms. Rouse is volunteered to sort of manage it because we don't want it to be evaluatory in any kind of way, because this is about mutual learning and using these classrooms as a laboratory. And just looking for balcony view trends and perspectives and strategies that seem to be working really well as we roll out our new block. So I think we have over 90% of our staff, and when we put it out there to everyone to get on board or not with this program is voluntary, I think over 90% of our staff are very happy, which says a lot about our staff. So those are the highlights out of our sort of academic goals. For social emotional learning, there's high need. This is, as we all know, right, quite a unique year. So between the new director of student support services, Millis and myself, we have sort of come up with some ideas how to target student social emotional needs in a few different tiers. In tier 1, all kids, all the teachers are embedding SEL practices into their subjects daily, every period. Whether that's doing morning meetings, allowing for movement breaks, outdoor lunches, a lot of walking after the lunch period, things that all students can benefit from. For tier 2 students, tier 2 needs, students who are exhibiting a bit more of the struggle but aren't necessarily being captured through an IEP process. We're establishing a student support team made up of a counselor educator, myself, the vice principal, the director of student services, Nurse Molinari, and any referring teacher. If a teacher is discovering a student who seems to be exhibiting sort of extra, beyond the norm in terms of their needs, they get referred into the SST. We develop an action plan and some follow-up, and we track the students in these groups meeting on a bi-weekly basis. So it's a bit more targeted. For tier 3 needs, significant social emotional needs that have really presented themselves this year. Neely Urquhart and myself are in the process right now of creating a new social emotional learning program that will be staffed by a full-time special educator through a grant that Mr. Urquhart has secured. So this is very exciting. We're advertising right now for this position. The curriculum is being developed, but it will be a service that we're envisioning anywhere from 5 to 10 students can occupy this space and get in-school attention for high-level social emotional needs that don't require us to look beyond the walls of the school to get those kids those services. So it's a strategic plan that we're sort of looking at every level of need, and it's really exciting. So if you know anybody who's got a background in social emotional learning, we're looking for someone to come on board. Additionally, we're addressing SEL needs through lots of non-classroom vehicles. I don't know if you saw in the newsletter, we've had some team building trips on campus. The YMCA is doing some ropes courses and stuff on campus. We've had guest speakers. Here's he's sort of a local a guest speaker who did a motivational talk with all of our kids. Really well received about goal setting, pursuing your dreams. We do grade level huddles where students can build a sense of community and grades can talk about things going on beyond just their academic progress. We have administered the Metro West Adolescent Health Student Survey. I'm very curious to see what the data tells us, and we're going to use that to do some targeted interventions from the 7th and 8th grade. 6th grade is coming up this Friday. And last but not least, the Test and Save program has really kept many of our kids in school who otherwise last year would have been sent home for quarantining purposes. So we've gained dozens, beyond hundreds of hours of instruction that would have been lost, and days of teaching and learning that kids wouldn't have experienced because of this process. So it's been really, really valuable. Third goal we have is to examine and expand our knowledge protocols and pedagogical practices that ensure a learning environment that fosters equity and inclusion. We've deliberately targeted through our individual teachers' SMART-E goals, i.e. inclusion and equity, are now part of teachers' professional practice goals that they are targeting for themselves, as well as their student learning outcomes. Ms. Rao is leading an equity audit of what we do as a school, looking for any sorts of patterns we might identify with student achievement or discipline or curriculum representation. And once we get through that audit of materials, we're going to be building a targeted action plan based on what some of that information tells us. And in terms of our extracurricular offerings, I mentioned earlier the success of the Common Ground program at the high school. The Middle Ground program is the middle school version of that, and it's really expanded now down into 6th grade. And it's provided students with safe spaces and venues for student support, student voice and allyship. That's really exciting. And as a district, we're targeting culturally responsive teaching and professional learning at the district level, but at school level. Our next big session for professional learning on this is going to involve guest speakers coming in and some programming in January. So that's how we're targeting that aspect of our student improvement plan. Those are the highlights of the 3 areas that we're focusing on this year. Our school council vetted this. Lots of different eyes were on it, some lay folks, some educators, and then the feedback was, oh, it's very understandable, it seems targeted, it seems appropriate, we're excited about this, parents seem to be on board with this, so we're excited to continue working with what we're doing. So, feel free to ask any questions you have for me.
Questions?
Madam Chair,
Yeah, Mr. Gallo.
welcome to the district, Mr.
Thank
Lynn.
you
So
very
this
much.
is a question it's based on but it's more directed to the superintendent.
Okay.
So we're doing well, and we have done well and continue to do well with grant-funded positions. Sometimes the life of those funding is over several years, sometimes it's a short period of time. So we don't have to get into the specifics now on these positions, but as we start to approach next year's budget, if some of these are falling off and we're doing good things with that, we need to try to identify ways to either partially fund or sustain or actively look. So that's not necessarily on you, so that's more of our function here, but it's helpful to see that we're doing great things, you're expanding programs, we just want to make sure we can be able to sustain that. So.
And on my end, I'll be gathering lots of data and showing outcomes and hopefully lots of success and so to help make that decision a little bit more palatable for folks. But what I see happening is I think it's going to be very positive. So, but I'll be gathering all sorts of data to help tell that story about why we need, I think, to hold on to it, should that be on the table.
Excellent, thank you.
And for any staff that we may be looking at for these positions, we make it very clear to them this is a grant-funded position.
Yes.
You know, and just as Chris said.
Sure.
If this is something that proves to be valuable for our school, good for our kids, we will search for ways to continue it if the grant funding does not continue.
Excellent, thank you. That's it.
Good.
We're an easy group.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Good
no.
job, welcome to the
Thank
district.
you.
I couldn't be happier to be here.
Excellent.
Amazing district.
And I'd just like to say that Mr. Glenn is off to a very good start. And, you know, he had tough shoes to fill, but, you know, I think he's introduced himself to the school and the community well, and you know, I think things are looking very good at Millis Middle School.
Excellent.
Great.
Perfect.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you so much. All right, Mr. Dicky, would you like to come on down?
All right, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Everybody's doing well. I would echo what Mr. Millis just said about Chris Glenn, and he's been fantastic to work with those students at school here. We're in a very unique situation where not many schools have two principals in the same building that can bounce things off of each other and use each other as supports. And it's been fantastic to work with so far. I know he's doing a great job upstairs. It's lucky that I haven't built him out this year. So I'm looking forward to the months ahead with him too. So thanks to him. We're talking about big shoes to fill. He did, and then I'm sitting in front of Bob here too. So it wasn't easy on either side. So Chris, you know, you'll find that our school improvement plans have a lot of mirrors in them. You know, being in the going off of what our district improvement plan was. So some of those things you'll probably see in my plan that you saw in the middle school plan as well, that you saw in the district plan too. So much as Chris talked about, you know, our vision and our mission, I think we know pretty well at this point in our district. You'll see a lot on here when it comes to personalized learning, which is something that we pride ourselves in, and I think is something that's a hallmark of some of the different goals that we have set aside for our students this year and that we do every year. And I think probably more than ever, identifying what our students' needs, learning styles, and interest styles is more important than it ever has been. Not that it isn't any year, but I think it's more important now than ever. Now we have all our kids back in front of us, which has been fantastic. So our school improvement plan goals are the same three goals that you saw in the middle school plan, and we're pulled from the district plan to be in alignment with what we're doing here at the high school this year. And so as I march on through some of the things that we're doing, I know at the middle school they have their new win block that they're instituting this year. At the high school, we have a new flex block. So last year, we've had the same schedule in place, and I think when I was at my last school committee meeting last year, we talked about some ideas on how to potentially improve the schedule moving into this year, considering last year we kind of blew everything up really and started fresh. And so we worked alongside some staff last year to try to develop a schedule that makes sense for us, which wasn't easy, having to share staff between two buildings and lunches and everything in between. And we had a lot of iterations that came out, and at the end of the day, we landed on something that we had an A through G day schedule. We now have an A through J day schedule. And I just had a retired teacher actually that came in to substitute for a day, and she just when she came in, I said, "You're all set. It's J day today." And she looked at me like I had 6 heads. She's like, "J day?" She said, "What happened?" And I said, "Well," Bob left, and we decided we just try some new stuff. So we've changed the schedule around where we go A through J day now. Our periods actually are about an hour long in length. which is longer than what it was with our old schedule, but a little shorter than last year where we had 5 periods a day. We have 6 now. And what we did is we built our advisory and this new flex period into the schedule. So the advisory and the flex meet one time each during what we now have a 10-day cycle. We had our first flex block last week, as Ben talked about, and I appreciated his plug to the kids to make sure they were scheduled for their next block. But what it is an opportunity for us that we've never had before during the school day, where we can offer not only targeted interventions and supports for kids, but also opportunities for enrichment and growth to the entire school at once, where we have all of our staff available and all of our students available. And so it's a 28-minute block that meets for us on B days. And the first time we met last week, kids that are doing really well in classes have an opportunity to be able to meet with teachers if they want to during those periods, to maybe get a little extra help or a little extra push forward in some of the materials they're working on. They also could go and work together in groups. We have the cafeteria available. They could work independently if they want to. Kids that are having some challenges, grades that aren't really up to par with where they need to be, or need extra supports in classes, either can go see teachers during that block, or the teachers can actually pull them into them during that block. We also had some teachers offered other opportunities. There was college essay writing, there was college application help. Some kids were able to engage in some physical activity in the gym. We actually had, as a stress relief for some kids, again, that were doing well in classes, Shannon Graham actually ran like a little crafting station. So we had 28 minutes, kids could just decompress for a little while and do something that I think is a real benefit to social emotional health. Right now, you're giving yourself a break during the school day. And I think as time goes on, we'll see some of the opportunities for students expand as the teachers get used to it a little bit more, and realize what they can juggle and what they can handle during that block. I know our teachers, I think, were a little nervous, like everybody is when you launch something new, but my feedback in general was that the first day went a lot better than I think everybody could have expected. We invested in a program that we're using to schedule, and that seemed to work pretty well. Day 2 is tomorrow. The one thing that I would say that was really positive after the first time, as I heard from some staff and students, was how come we only have this once during the cycle? And I said, you know what, if it works really well this year, and the biggest complaint is that we don't have enough of it, that's a great problem to have and something that we can look at in our schedule as we move forward. So we were off to a good launch. As far as tiers of student support go, one thing that we started this year, it actually just started last week, is I have one of my paraprofessionals is actually going to staff a tutoring center after school, which we haven't really had the opportunity to do, but again, we have some grant money that we were able to use this year that we're able to put towards it. We're going to do it as an after-school center with students identified through the counseling staff, through teachers, and actually through our paraprofessional who's in a lot of the classrooms and sees a lot of our students on a daily basis that could use the extra support and help. So she said, I think that's going to build as time goes on, and I hope there's another catch place for some of the kids that are struggling along the way. So we'll be tracking academic progress on that of the students that are meeting in the center, and hopefully it catches some more kids as we go forward. And then as we go through the year, I talked about this a little bit last year, but we're going to work alongside of our school council and some identified members of our staff who are going to help us to develop our vision of a graduate in thinking about where we go forward with our CS accreditation again in another few years. We'd really like to have this in place. It's going to be probably a 3 or 4 year process to really pull it together. And our hope is that if you think about your biggest hopes and dreams and goals for your students when they graduate from Millis High School, what do you really want them to be able to know and do when they leave the high school to be successful in the workplace and in college? Almost if you wanted to take a look at a list of, if you looked at a job application now and you saw on that application the different qualities and skills they were looking for in individuals as they're coming out of high school, those are the skills that we kind of want to target. It could be teamwork, it could be a variety of different things. And what we'll do is this year we're going to do a lot of work to try to create some surveys that we'll be able to get out to our staff, our students, the community at large, alumni, and find out like what are these skills that the kids are going to need when they leave here. And then hopefully over time we'll be able to build some maps that will kind of direct us toward how we're going to meet those goals. I think they'll be realistic and attainable for the students and pretty concrete for our teachers in our classrooms to be able to identify and then create portfolios that our students can carry with them over the course of 4 years to demonstrate reaching these goals over the course of time. In essence, what they're going to do is kind of take the place of those school-wide rubrics that we've had. These are going to be kind of our new school-wide rubrics that I think are going to really be powerful and manageable and going to propel our students forward into that 21st century world that they're heading into. So we'll be continuing to work on that this year. I know I mentioned earlier about personalized learning and individual student mental health and wellness is obviously a huge piece of that and something that, not just here, but across the state and the country, we're trying to put a lot of time into. One thing that we've talked about here is our relationship with the JED Foundation. That partnership has started, and we've already met with them twice as an interdisciplinary team. Incredibly proud to say that we've got 24 people as part of that team. And I almost had to turn some people away because people were so interested in being on board for this initiative. We're in the process now of breaking into 3 subcommittees that are going to go out and take a look at the 7 different areas of JED around our social, emotional health, and wellness as an audit that we'll do internally. We'll provide that data back to them, and then they're going to analyze it, give us some suggestions, come in and do a site visit with us, and over the course of 18 months, come back with some great feedback and be able to help inform our programs here at the high school. We'll be doing a survey with all of our students in December. It's called the Healthy Mind Study, and that's going to help us to identify targeted areas of need and support along the way too. We were very fortunate, and this is something that Bob had started this relationship when he was principal, was a collaboration with Mass General and the Harvard Med School on a survey and treatment program. We surveyed our students back at the end of September on a variety of things around social, emotional health, and wellness, and issues in relations to substances and everything in between. And, they are in the process right now at Mass General and Harvard of identifying students from that data, and then they're going to go out and do targeted supports with kids that identify themselves on the surveys that came out. They'll have to get parental consent to be able to do any of the work with them, but the hope is that some of these students will, and parents will say, yeah, we need the help. I think now more than ever, it's very hard to get just counseling support outside of school. And we have people there was somebody in the JED meeting last week a parent who said they finally found a counselor after going around to take them on a wait list. And they said that they were, I think, the 70th person on the wait list for that counselor. And that was finally someone that was even willing to take them on a wait list. So I think any of these relationships and partnerships that we can get with these organizations are going to be a huge help for our kids going forward. So that's one program that we're going to be involved with. We also are one of 100 schools in the state that are enrolling in it's a new Mass Department of Public Health. And also Mass General is part of this too. It's called I Decide. It's a drug education curriculum, so it's an intervention curriculum. It could involve anything from vaping to marijuana to opioids, a variety of any different really substance that's out there. For us, as we go forward, we'll need training someone on staff that'll get a grant that's going to be funded through the state to be able to give a 4-hour curriculum to students that may have either had an infraction here in the suspension realm possibly, or discipline realm, or just kids that we identify. So what we're hoping is that, what I'm hoping is that we never have to use it. But the reality of it, that is that, we've seen these things, we're going to see these things, and rather than just, it'd be very easy to put a kid out of school for 60 days who had a major drug infraction or something like that in school. If you could offer a family, look, maybe your suspension isn't as long if you're able to do this program, then I think what we're doing is you put a kid out for 60 days, you're not giving them any help and support along the way, you're just putting them out of school. by having a program like this, we might actually be able to get them the educational help and curricular help to make a positive gain on their own personal lives so that maybe they can kick a substance or a habit. So we'll be involved with that program as well. That's just a little more information about that. And just recently, we want to call last week with Children's Hospital and MGH, and we're going to be part of another group around vaping cessation. So if we identify some students that potentially are in need of some help around vaping, because that continues to be an issue, and Juul is out because they kind of got slapped on the hand by the government, but all that opened the door for other companies to come in. And so that continues to be a problem, so we're hoping we can kind of jump on board with them. And these outside supports are going to be a huge help for us here at Millis. Our SEL screenings we've been doing now for the past, I think, maybe 4 or 5 years. All of our staff 3 times a year does a screener on our students in certain realms of social and emotional health. All that data is then brought back in, and our counseling staff and SEL teams sit together, identify the kids that score into the system, and then target supports for them. So we'll continue to do that this year. Our SOS program, our Signs of Suicide program, we continue to implement in our health classrooms freshman year for all of our students. The counselors give. They'll be giving that to our seniors this year as well as a booster. And we're looking into getting the Samaritans to come in to do some programming with hopefully our junior class as well. So we're trying to target just about all of our kids in relation to stress, anxiety, suicide, and depression. So, and we'll do some screenings as part of that as well. And then Chris talked about in his, we just did the Metro West survey last week, so we'll be interested to see what all the data is that comes out of that. You'll see there's a lot of surveying going on this year, and I keep telling the kids, the one good thing is you're not getting graded on these. What you are doing is you're giving us a lot of feedback on how we can better help serve you and serve our school community. And so I think the kids have been great. I know the initial Mass General survey that we did, they told me that they had 87% participation from our entire school population. And I think the kids that are out during the school day and some kids that may not have wanted to do it, I thought was fantastic. So I think Metro West will be very similar. And then finally, Chris talked about this in his, is the test and stay program and how that is continuing to keep more students in school than we would have had out as close contacts last year. And then finally, it's again taking a look at our pedagogical practices around equity and inclusion. Alongside the district, we'll be doing a lot more professional development and professional learning in this area as we did last year. Chris talked about it, the Smarty goals that we'll be working on this year. I can say, you're like, yep. Robin's already done hers. So the Smarty goals that we'll be working on this year, we're sitting down and having meetings with all of our staff to make sure that equity and inclusion are a big piece of everything that they're doing in relation to student learning and growth. The professional learning, I just mentioned that again, that'll be just an ongoing discussion all year, whether it's in our staff meetings or it's through our professional learning. And as Chris said, we have a day coming up in January. We're bringing in a guest speaker to talk to our staff on that regard. And then as we go through the year, we're going to continue to take a look at data, very similar to what Chris said, our own kind of audit of performance in different realms around the school, and just make sure that the practices and interventions and programming that we have is reflective of the population of the school that we have here at Millis High. So I think those are all things that are very important to us, and as I go through my conversations with staff, very important to them. I would tell you some of the conversations we've had in our JED meetings so far, and we have students as part of that, has been around the overall cultural makeup of the high school and the district, and how kids are treated and how staff and students are treated here. And the one really positive thing that I think has come out of the first 2 meetings that we've had, hearing from the student side of things, is that they've been very happy that they feel like it's incredibly inclusive here. They feel like kids are good to each other. They feel like staff really goes out of their way to try to make those personal connections with kids to make everyone feel welcome. And we want to keep it that way. So that's a huge part of our town and our culture, and I hope is something that will just get strengthened by all the different initiatives and programs that we're taking on this year to try to help student learning and health and wellness. Our staff has been great at adapting this year and trying to take on all these new things that are coming on, we're getting back to a little bit of sense of normal, I think. I know around the school, there's a buzz around a lot of different things coming up. There's a lot of things, the auditorium's gonna be full again in the coming months between drama productions and the Nutcracker, and Stephanie didn't talk about, I think it's 110 kids across the district that'll be in Nutcracker. We've got, the holiday concert will be back on again. The faculty talent show is coming in January. It's just nice, sports teams are playing, tournaments are coming. There's a lot going on. That's a lot to take in, but we're pretty excited about the way the year has started, and we hope to just continue upward from it. So that's it. That's my presentation on the school improvement plan.
Thanks. Do you guys have any questions? I would just say that the district that I teach in also has a couple of things you talked about, like the portrait of the graduate. And one of the things that I think is interesting that we talk about a lot is the kids in kindergarten right now, when they graduate and go into the workforce, the jobs that they have aren't even invented yet. So how do you teach to those goals, right? So always kind of making sure that those soft goals, as well as the like social skills and interactions, and like not just being able to do math and write and things like that, and all those things are just as important too. So that was kind of like mind-blowing to me when we were talking about it, like, oh my God, those jobs aren't invented yet.
And I think our hope is that as we go, once we develop those goals at the high school level, that we'll take those and then trickle them down.
Yeah.
From middle and elementary school too. And obviously it'll be adapted and a little bit different.
Sure.
But you're right. Where they'll be in 7, 8 years, it's just everything changes so fast.
Yeah.
And maybe what was done in the last 2 years even faster than ever. So.
Right. Cool. Thanks. Yeah. Thank you.
I think it'd be interesting both from what's done at the high school and also the middle school to get these the audits and action plans. If we actually got those presented here, just, it's kind of one of these things we're talking about in terms of in the improvement plan, but I hate to not hear anything about it again until next year's improvement plan.
Right. The equity audit, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when those are done this year and as the action plans are being developed, it'd be great to see what the feedback and results of that were.
For sure, when we're done our JED process, we'll have a host of information to talk about, so I'd love to be able to come back and talk about that, for sure.
And I think that was one of our hopes with the improvement plan this year, is to just highlight the things we really put a focus on this year, so that we can check them periodically and see how we are, rather than have 7 goals and 500 action steps. These are the important things that we really, we do a lot of important things, but these are the things we really believe have the highest leverage and what we really want to monitor. So, yeah, these won't be documents that go on the shelf until next year. I'd also like to thank Mr. Dicky and his staff for their work on the flex block. I think it's something that many, that's a nut we've tried to crack for a number of years, getting kids supports during the school day. We all know how busy kids are after school, and to build that time into the schedule, it's just commendable work they've done, and I know it's a lot of work to, working out the kinks and things like that, but I was very happy when Mr. Dicky reported that the first crack at it went so well. And I think, as with anything else, the more we do it, the better we'll get at it.
Sure.
Thanks, Mark.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah,
Thank you. All right. So next we have the chair report, metrics for unmasking, and the health and safety did not meet.
We did not meet
Did
today.
not meet this week. So the only thing that we have to report really is that the commissioner of DESE came out last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago at this point, extending the mask mandate until January 15th, and with, again, that same off-ramp of 80% per school. So we're sort of still waiting for those vaccination percentages up. And hopefully in the next couple of weeks, the littles 5 through 11-year-olds will be eligible for vaccines. Apparently, maybe you can even book it now.
Tonight it was approved.
Tonight it was approved,
It
yeah.
was approved tonight.
Yeah.
As we were coming in.
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully the next couple of weeks, maybe the middle school will get that boost they need. Anything else on that?
So,
Nope,
yeah,
good.
so I have some information on the NASDAQ study that was approved and done over the summer.
Okay.
And of course, NASDAQ is the New England School Development Council. They were responsible for the awards that we presented earlier in the meeting. And we had commissioned them last spring to kind of look at our facility and look at the demographics and enrollment figures. And they've come up with a report that is, if it's not in your packets, it will be delivered to you. I think it might have been delivered by email. We just got the final report. But just some of the highlights on that report from NASDAQ. Basically what they did was they came into the middle high school to look at the facility, and it's part of what we were doing, as we were creating the statement of interest for the MSBA. We thought this would be good information that the MSBA could use. So they came in and they spoke with members of the administrative team. They spoke with people, town officials and DPW and different town departments that have information that can help us as we plan ahead. They spoke with realtors to get housing information, looking at the state and federal requirements, which is something they do throughout the New England states. And they came and visited our school over the summer. And just some population information we have here. As of April 1st, the population in Millis was 8,460 residents, and 21.9% of those residents, 18 and under, and so about 17%, 18% are what we'd consider school age. And this is information that was included in our budget presentation last year. Since 2010, there's been a decline in population, school-age population and population in our schools. And 2020 was projected to be the low point of that. And after 2020, the projections had us gradually increasing in population in the next 10 years. And then specifically looking at this building and the number of students, et cetera. From 2011 to 2021, we had, they provided us with data on our enrollment. Up until 2019, this building was really a 5 to 12 building. And you can see in 2019, we had 736 students between the middle school and the high school. And obviously moving a grade, the 5th grade over to Clyde Brown, created space here, and we moved about 100 students. The high water mark of population in this building was, I think, 2013, 2014, where we had 848 kids in this building. And I remember it well, and some of your kids were probably in this building, and it was packed in here. So moving the 5th grade over to Clyde Brown helped out a lot. It didn't solve all our problems, but it helped out a lot. The projected enrollments for the next 10 years, and this does not, these projections do not include current housing construction permitted, under construction, planned, et cetera. It shows an increase district-wide and kind of leveled out at the high school and slightly moving up in the next 10 years in the middle school population. So for this current year, NESDEC had projected 6 to 12 enrollment at being at 573 students. Our actual population right now this year is 595. So, about 22 students above what they projected. And most of those students are in the high school. They projected 309 students in the high school this year, and we have 329. Some of that is choice. Some of that is, they projected a certain number of kids going to Tri-County or the Aggie or privates, and fewer than what they projected ended up going to those other schools. These numbers here, totaled up on the side of the chart. In 25, 26, 5 years from now, they're projecting 532 students in the building, which would be a decrease in what we have now. But then 5 years after that, in 2030, 31, we'd be at 619 according to their projection. So, it would start to trend upward again. But as I mentioned, it doesn't factor in the housing, and from the DPW, NESDEC was able to get information on approved projects that are already under construction, permitted projects, and projects awaiting approval. And so you can see the projects under construction. Kensington Place, apparently 12 single-family, 3 to 4 bedroom units. Hickory Hills, 38 single-family units, and Emerson Place, 44 single-family units. And according to the realtors that NESDEC spoke with, those 3 to 4 bedroom units tend to be purchased by families with school-age children. Projects that are permitted but haven't begun construction yet. The Woodlands project is 48 single-family units, and 114 Union Street is 98 apartment units, and then there's a couple awaiting approval. Two single-family projects, which would have a total of 42 single-family, 3 to 4 bedroom units, and then an apartment project with 48 1, 2, or 3 bedroom units. So with that construction, it's very likely that would impact our enrollment moving forward, increasing it. And so with the taking that construction into account, the numbers, as you might expect, are projected to be higher, with 5 years from now, 25, 26, having 547 students in this building, and 5 years after that, 30, 31, having 636 students in the building. Just looking at our facility, the rooms and the square footage and so forth, the NESDEC study indicated that the capacity for students in this building is 776 students. That's assuming 25 kids in every room at the same time, which is pretty crowded in here. And that would not account for having any new spaces, STEAM rooms, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math rooms, like we have the beautiful STEAM room over at Clyde Brown, or makerspace rooms, engineering, and robotics rooms, spaces for 21st century learning, social emotional learning areas. Mr. Glenn spoke about the process we're going through to add social emotional programming at the middle school. A big concern is hiring a person. Another huge concern is where do we put the program? The 776 occupancy capacity doesn't address needing spaces like this. Small group instruction rooms. We have, at some times, we have 3 phys ed classes in the gym at once. Sharing the facilities that are common facilities is an issue. Certainly, we have very limited meeting space here and storage space. Most of our storage spaces have been taken over and occupied as offices and small learning spaces. And we had one member of the staff here whose office still had the sign that says storage on the door. We had to get rid of that. But we're using every available place. And as you know, if you're in this building during the day, our hallways are learning spaces too. We try and use every inch of this building. The central office space, as you know, it's pretty crowded in there. And so that's considered undersized. And so, it's just this operating capacity talks about how many people you can fit in a room. It doesn't really talk about the best practices educationally. NASDAQ provided us with 3 potential options. Option 1, renovate the middle high school. Option 2, renovate and add on to the existing building. And option 3, build a new middle high school. Advantages and challenges. If we renovate, basically keep this the same, but just kind of fix what needs fixing. The advantages are we upgrade some of the facility systems that go back to 1960, electrical, roofing, we've talked about, things like that. It addresses current issues with things like leaky windows and leaky roofs and things like that. And certainly, it's a shorter timeline than if there's new construction going on. The challenge is it certainly doesn't address the current best practices in design for 21st century learning, and it doesn't address the crowding that exists. Even though we've put 100 more kids over at Clyde Brown, we still don't have adequate space to do a lot of the things we'd like to do and we really need to do for our kids. Option 2, renovate and add on. Again, it would take care of some of these, updating some of these older systems. It would address problems we have with windows and leaks and those types of things. It would also address space and programming needs, giving us more space for things like STEAM labs and small group work areas, confidential office space, flexible spaces. Again, some of the things we have at Clyde Brown, and we're seeing the benefits of those types of learning spaces. And it could provide us with more storage space and maybe get some of those people who are in closet out of closets. The challenge is, obviously, if there's construction going on in the building while classes are going on, we have to deal with that. There's obviously a cost challenge with really anything we choose to do. And then sometimes it can be a challenge when you you take down a wall to work on something and you find something else in there that needs work. And then the last option, the new construction of a middle high school. The advantages, we just have to look across the street and see the advantages that brought you know, the intentional design to support best practices in teaching and learning, and the state-of-the-art facility. We know all about that with Clyde Brown. Challenges, cost, you know, finding a suitable site, addressing issues we're having here with things like the elevator and the roof and those things, addressing those things while the new building is under construction. I mean, we dealt with that with Clyde Brown. And obviously the timeline, it takes a long time. So NASDAQ put forth these three options. They don't come out and say, you should do this or you should do that, but it's all part of the report that, you know, it's information that will be helpful to us as we look at next steps for the middle high school building here. I don't know if any questions or, I don't think we, NASDAQ didn't uncover any things that we didn't know about. It just provides us more information and more data to what we you know, some of the things we're already aware of.
Questions? Questions?
All set.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah, thanks, Bob.
We did slides, we PowerPointed you into
I know,
submission.
that's right. So many PowerPoints. It's great. November enrollment, you want to chat about that, Mr. Mulaney?
So November enrollment, we are at, we have one fewer student than we did in October. We had a student move out. We've had one student who became a choice student, but they lived in Millis. They moved out of Millis. They're staying in Millis. The kids are staying in Millis school. So I think we had 2 move-outs and 1 move-in. So in net, we're down 1 student from October.
Okay. All right, and it looks like we have some old business, new business, donation from the Iorio Foundation.
Yes, this is a donation of $7,000 to the Iorio Foundation. And they've donated money in the past, and this is for programming at the Millis Middle School. It's a very generous donation from the Iorio Foundation. And we're very thankful, and Mr. Glynn was very excited when he heard that the Iorio Foundation was.
This foundation has given us
They give us money each year.
thousands and
Yeah.
thousands
Yes.
and thousands.
Yeah.
I think didn't we ask for who they were? But they've really treated this district incredibly well.
Yeah,
Yes.
they're very great. We're great for us.
Could we see, Joe, I think we had like a write-up. I thought we asked for something, and I thought at some point we produced it. Maybe it was
Let's see.
part of,
I can look,
Yeah, I remember we had to do some digging because at one point.
There's a couple that we got.
We
Let's
had a
see.
donation, but they didn't say what it was for, and we were having trouble saying we could accept it if we
no, I
didn't know
remember
what it was
that.
for.
But then I also think we at some point got information, they just write these big checks, which
Yeah.
is great. I'm not dissuading them from that.
Yeah.
It's just- I think I'm wondering
We
if we
could
should
send
do
them a thank
more,
you
like
note.
Yeah, we
acknowledge
should,
them.
should
They're
send
ju-
them a
Whoever these
thank you
people
note
are,
each
they're
time.
good.
Mhm.
Yes, yes.
They're wonderful.
I could be wrong, but I don't know why, I think it's a grandparent of a student. I don't know why that sticks in my.
We did, it was a long time ago. I know there was that question of they didn't specify what it was
Yeah,
for.
yeah, so we had to do some just.
But I think you may be right, I don't know. They're doing great things regardless.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Need to
Vote to accept it. Yep.
Oh, I guess I've talked, I'll do this. Madam
Okay.
Chair,
Mr. Catalano.
I make a motion to accept a $7,000 grant for general support from the Iorio Charitable Foundation. For general support for the Millis Middle School's gift account.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much to the Iorio Foundation.
Yes.
We appreciate the generous gift of donations. And I think that's it. Yeah, no,
And no
open-
open session?
or no,
Executive session?
yeah, our next meeting is going to be at town meeting next Monday. Be
Wear your
there.
mask.
Yep, it'll be in the auditorium here.
No, that's fine, I'm just, let's make sure we coordinate, or that there's knowledge that town meeting is gonna be here on Monday night, should any of the three or four, well, three teams who potentially are hosting games.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Yeah.
Because it appears that the soccer games are gonna be on Saturday, which could then very easily turn into a Monday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll make sure we steer clear of that date.
And if there's any rehearsals in there, hopefully they're.
Yeah, I think Jody's contacted everyone to
So
Okay.
everybody
clear
knows
out.
that but they're not just in the auditorium, they're folks that.
The cafeteria.
in the gym.
Yep,
Right.
yep,
So everybody's been told,
okay.
and they've been told that it may go into Tuesday, but that's, we won't know that until the middle of it.
Lord hope. No.
Please no.
Yeah.
We've gone through enough. We don't need a two-night town meeting.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Ms. Roach,
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously.
These are the things that you requested in here from Terry.
I saw those. Yeah, that was more for just